Welcome back to DotLoop. Here we have a loop that I want to continue. We created a buyer template, and now I'd like to assume that we found a property for our buyer and we need to go ahead and do a contract. So first, let's go back to the beginning for a second. When you log into DotLoop, it's dotloop.com, and then you're going to use the email that you use for real estate and the password that you created yourself. Again, here is where you will likely end up. This is your loop page. This will have all the transactions that you have been a part of. Now don't forget that if you were a part of transactions in the past, maybe as a recipient of something, then you are going to see those as well. You can always archive those. See at the bottom of each box, something called archive. And that will disappear when you go to another tab and then come back to your loop tab. Now suddenly it's gone. So if you only want to have the most current loops available to you, the transactions, then that is how you can do it. You can always go to the filter and retrieve them. You can retrieve the archived ones. You can search by this sort of thing as well, only if you actually enter that type of information, which so far I have not tended to do because we do not use DotLoop as a transaction management system. We simply use it as a digital signature platform. Okay, so in the last video we did the buyer agency paperwork. It's all signed. And as I had mentioned, when I initially did this, it was asking me, before I could submit it to the broker for review, it wanted me to put in a property address. Well, I didn't have one because this was the beginning buyer agency paperwork. We don't have a property address. We haven't even seen houses, right? So I went ahead and threw an address in there just so I could keep moving, but I have since figured out what needs to happen. I spoke with DotLoop, and on the back end of things, I've got that fixed, so that will not be a problem anymore for buyer agency. You should be able to submit documents with no property address for a property that will be purchased, that is. Okay, that being said, let's go, and what I want to do now is I want to say, you know what, we have found a property that he'd like to buy. So I'm going to go into the templates tab. It's a very distracting word, I think, because it's not about templates, it's about all of our documents. So this is where you find the documents. Documents, United Real Estate Columbia. That's where we're going to find our master folder here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our residential sales contract, and here is what we have. And what we want to do is, we could fill it out right here. I don't think I see the need to do that. Let's add it to the loop. And I'm going to add it to, uh-oh, I have too many loops of the same name. I'm going to add it to that loop. How about that? Okay. Let's view the loop. Make sure that's the right one. Not the right one. Let's try that again. Crazy, right? This is what happens when you play a little bit too much. Nothing is ever deleted in DotLoop. Just gonna say. What we do instead is I think I'm gonna do that one. Okay. It just gets archived. That's all. So let's go view the loop. Great. So you see that now, in addition to all the approved paperwork I have on the buyer agency, oh, look at how encouraging it is. Great. That's great. Let's do the sales contract. Okay, so we're going to take that and we're going to open it up. So, autofill. Here we go again. Let's make sure that nothing has changed. So, John Smith is still our buyer, so I want to select no one as the buyer. Okay, seller 1. We are going to have a seller. need to add a person. We won't be able to add much of a name. I'm going to call Mary Smith our seller, and I'm just going to tab through, because if you remember from before, if you go all the way over to the side, somehow this box goes away. So let's add her as the seller. And there's no one, there's only, okay, I'm the buyer agent, and we'll call, sure, we'll call Joe Q the list agent. Okay, so now this box for some reason stays put when we do that. Street number. Since I had that as John's current street address, we'll do something else. I'll do that. Okay. I don't know where it got that as my phone number. Okay. Oh, my license number. Do that. Okay. It's not up to us to add the list agent information. We do not have to do that. You can, but you don't have to. Okay, let's see what we've auto-filled here. Okay, contract of sale. You would want to fill in the date. Look at that, that's pretty nifty. Buyer, seller. Okay, there's only the one buyer, so let's go ahead and put no one. If you recall, it's a little bit confusing. John would not be able to initial both of those fields at the same time, but it'll still be there and it could be confusing for him. So if you put no one, and for all the seller fields, I've got assigned to no one, because it is not the buyer agent job to get the seller to sign anything. So we're not going to have the seller's email address. That's not our role. However, I have left them intact in case the other agent also uses DotLoop and wants to retain some of these fillable portions here for his or her own use. Okay. You can add a subdivision if you need to. You will want to put the TMS number. I'm kind of surprised. I must have missed it on the autofill part. And of course that's going to be Lexington County. Okay, and you fill in the purchase price, and you fill in the information as needed, right? Okay, so we go back again to the initials. Go ahead and just put no one. Again, we want to keep it as simple as possible for our buyer. Now notice here there are no initials. Okay, I think that it's going to be easiest if you add the right initials. So you can do either one. Let me just assume he wants to pay his own closing costs, and there you go. Okay. And notice nobody has to deal with anything here then. Just, there it is, there he is. So we're going to change all of this. The financing type, you need to answer that question for sure. Okay. Assign it to no one. Don't forget to answer the appraisal question. This is, again, not your thing to do. Don't assume just because you see initial boxes you have to do something with them. Click on it and notice it's assigned to no one. That is, again, if the list agent also happens to use DotLoop. I'm going to leave it there for now to see if anybody really utilizes that on the seller side. Okay. Okay, make sure you indicate when they're going to get it. That closing seems to be best. Okay. But this goes relatively quickly when you have the right information. Okay. I also do not have initials here. I have removed those because I don't want anybody acting on it simply because they see initial boxes. This is for as is only. As usual, you only initial A or B if it's going to be an as is purchase. Any other purchase, you leave it the way it is and you let it go. Okay. Okay, property disclosure. I considered getting rid of these boxes as well. Right now, all of them are assigned to no one, which means nobody will see these boxes. Your client will not see any of these boxes until you assign it to him. Okay, so we're going to assume this is a good house. It's not being bought as is. There is a property disclosure. So you want to take that one and assign it to John. There's your buyer. See, this is assigned to no one. He's not going to see it. Not going to see any of these boxes. So you just make sure that you have him initial the correct one. Okay. If there's home warranty involved, fill that section in. Property documentation. I'm going to say no one for that one. And again, everything is assigned to no one. So anything that is assigned to no one will not be seen by the clients. Okay, fill out anything about the homeowners association there. I have removed any initials from these lines. They're used so infrequently, I don't want anybody thinking somebody needs to initial that if they don't. So generally that isn't used. Okay, the expiration of the offer, don't forget to do that. See, we're almost done here. Okay, so John knows to sign there. Look, his name is already printed. Okay, let's go ahead and get no signature there. No one, I'm sorry. Okay, so we see that Mary's name is printed in there. That's totally fine. These are assigned to no one. So again, that's up to the list agent to get her signature whatever way she can. So buyer agent, here's the company, here's a license number, LLR office code, that would be, for me, it would be that, and the email and telephone number. Okay, so conceivably you could fill these in. You don't have to know the agent's license number or office code. That's not up to you. That's not your job to have to do that. The email address, you should know that, I would think, and the phone number, you should know that. So we could certainly fill that information in. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It saves everybody some time. Okay, and this signature, we don't know who's going to be signing that yet. It could be the other agent, so we'll just let it go for right now. Okay, so nobody needs to worry about that. And that's done. So this is the offer. So we're going to save it. And really what we would do is save it and share it with John, right? And he can sign. Again, we're going to go back to the whole, there is a section where he can fill and sign, but we don't want that on this contract. We want to have control over the information. You get all the information from him that you need. Then you fill it in and he simply says, yep, looks good, let me sign it. Okay? So that's how that works. So he can sign it and away it goes. That's it. Okay, so then you go back to your loop and you can see that it's waiting on others. Over here, this submit for review thing, that really is going to only come into play during the agency process. Obviously, we don't get the BICs to sign the contracts and everything else. This is also more for your transaction management system that other companies use DotLoop for. So right now, you just know you're waiting on your client to sign it. So that is how you attach a document. Okay, one more time. to attach a document. Go up to the right, just next to your initials, to the Templates tab, United Real Estate Columbia Master Documents, and you have all sorts of things. There's the earnest money addendum if you're going to be closing with MGC and you want to attach that as well to the offer. That is important. You can, let's see, where I'm looking for the repair addendum. There's the repair addendum, right? So there are all sorts of things that you can be attaching to your loop. Okay. And you might want to change the loop name to the property address. It kind of depends on how certain you are this would likely go through. But it's perfectly fine to keep in DotLoop the name of your client. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, I hope this has helped. Thanks a lot.